We're probably all very accustomed to this tarp tent shelter setup. I personally use it quite often. However, sometimes it's just overkill for the amount of space it gives us. And then it's also would be really nice to have a floor without carrying a secondary tarp to go along with you. So stick around today and I'm going to show you my modification off of this that really answers both of those two questions. Alright, so for today's demo, we're going to use the AquaQuest 10x10 tarp. This is the ultralight version, so I think this is the guide. And then also just a little cheap trekking pole. Now I like this setup because it really doesn't require a ridge line at all. So I don't have to worry about having trees. But it is going to require a couple tent stakes. So the first thing I'm going to do is just pull everything out of here. Put my bag out of the way. Grab a handful of stakes. I'm going to start out with 2. And the first thing I'm going to do is take and fold my tarp out in half, and I'm going to actually find the 2 middle tie-offs on it, and I'm going to stretch it out lengthwise and stake those 2 in the ground. Okay, so it's pretty windy out today, so I'll try to get this thing staked down as quickly as I can. It's just my first of my middle 2 tie-outs. Just gonna stake him down. Slide over to the other side. Put him nice and snug. Right through here. Find a good soft spot here in the ground. Okay, so now I end up with something that is a little more clamshell shaped. Just gonna pull it out here so it's kind of straightened out. So I know everything's evened out. The bottom section down here could be my floor. What I'm worried about addressing first is the actual top of it. Now I can take this corner tie out and move it in about 1.5 feet, 2 feet. I'm gonna move it to the section where the next tie out is. Pull it in, stake it down. This is just going to let us raise the roof up just a little bit. And I'm going to do the same thing on this side. Grab it, pull it in about 1.5 feet. And I'm going to stake this one out as well. So now we have this overlapping floor. Obviously, if it rained in here, we would get condensation. We'd get moisture inside. So we're going to deal with that in a little bit. But first, we've got to go ahead and finish up the roof. We come right under this bridge and come in with our trekking pole. I do keep a hank of cordage tied off on here to use. So I'm going to go through, extend my trekking pole up a little ways. It's not going to be super tall. Should be tall enough. Come off in here. I usually like to just go around with my cordage time or two just to kind of keep stuff snug. So now that I have my trekking pole tied off, I'm going to pull all the way out here to the end of our cordage and stake him out. Now, for the sake of making it strong before we worry about our floor, I'm going to go through and grab these little side panels and just tie these out as well so that we don't get any air coming in. We don't get those blowing around either. So I'm going to pull that out, still ignoring the floor. Stake them down, roll over and do the other side. So you can see our shelter is starting to take shape here. Stake out my middle section here. Obviously, if I pull it all the way out taut, it's going to have the potential to get rain inside here. So I usually just pull this back up inside here and then fold it over once I get in. Now we could have taken, over here on this side, we could have taken and staked our floor out along with our roof. But if we do that, like I said, we run the risk of having that stuff get rain inside there. So honestly, I usually just tuck that back up inside there, and I do that all the way around. I less worry about having the floor tucked down than I do having the roof. So if you are lucky enough to have a center tie-out stake on the back of your tarp, stake that one out as well. Anything to help give it a little rigidity for the wind. As you can see, it's pretty windy out here today. And just continue to tuck this stuff down all the way around, make sure we're covered up. So now you can see inside here, we've got a nice little open area, plenty of room to lay down, bring all of my gear in here. I need to do something with these flapping tabs though on the outside. So what are we going to do with those? So just like we do on our tarp tent setup, I'm just going to push a little piece of cordage through here. Pretty much have to do this on all of those tarp tent shelter setups, like the one I showed earlier when we were doing the intro, just to get these doors back. It's pretty simple to do. I'm going to do this on both sides. I usually like to just sort of pull it off to the side here. I feel like this gives me a good open, kind of arid, breezy, doesn't feel quite so claustrophobic inside. Come a little overhand in there, pull it out, stake it down. Now I can do the same thing on the other side. Pulling it out, staking it down. Okay, so now we have something that is pretty arid and open. If I'm worried about rain, I could pull a little further forward. And be sure when you're setting it up that you're setting it up with the wind and the rain coming from the backside. Don't have to worry about stuff seeping underneath because the tarp itself is folded over, so the water will run underneath you or around you. But because we tucked in the flooring on these outer edges, we don't have to worry about anything pulling in on top of us. But at the same time, in here leaves us plenty of room to lay and hang out, stay dry in here. This shelter configuration works really well. Right out here in front, I had a little small fire. That way it would leave me getting in and out on this end over here. Okay, guys, hope you found those beneficial. Like I said, it's a good, quick one. It doesn't give you a ton of space inside, but sometimes that's actually not what you want or need. I really like having the added benefit of the floor down in there, so catch me on the trail, you may catch me in that. And if you're out there on the trail right this minute, kind of as always, just remember, left foot, right foot, repeat. We'll see you soon.